Hello, I'm Stephen Applegate, the Interim Rector of All Saints in Chicago, and I'm speaking to you today from inside the church building itself. Before the coronavirus began to affect every aspect of our lives, I had the chance to meet many of you. For those of you I haven't met yet, that will have to wait till some other time, I'm afraid. Instead of sending you a Dear Friends letter on this St. Patrick's Day, I thought I would take this opportunity to speak to you directly, at least as directly as I can. Thanks to everyone who joined our church services this past Sunday on Facebook Live. If you weren't able to attend, or if you didn't know about our services, you can still view the service on the All Saints Facebook page. In his sermon, Andrew Rutledge talked about the gospel story of the meeting of Jesus and the Samaritan woman at the well. Andrew reminded us of all the ways that we're thirsty for connection, for community, for meaning and purpose, yes, even for laughter at times like this. Although there were just 4 of us in the nave on Sunday morning, we felt surrounded by you. Thanks for joining us, even if your presence was only virtual. This coming Sunday, March 22nd, the 4th Sunday in Lent, we will live stream our services again, the 9 o'clock service. We're working to upgrade our technology, especially the sound quality of our broadcast, and also to expand access to our broadcast so more people can watch. Last week, we didn't have time to put everything in place, as you might understand. We promised to do better this week, thanks to the help of volunteers like Ken Jones and Eileen Krause, and also our own tech-savvy staff member, Andrew Freeman. You won't be surprised to hear that the components we need to do this, both for the audio and for the visual, are flying off the shelves every bit as fast as the toilet paper and hand sanitizer has been. Businesses are scrambling to make it possible for their employees to work remotely, so electronic gear is in short supply, but we're going to make it work. Some of you may be aware that Polly Tangora and Hillary Waldron have reached out to our children and youth. Polly conducted an online meeting with the Atrium 3 children last Sunday to continue the serious and important work they've been doing to decide what ministries and people will be funded from the proceeds of the Africa Bake Auction. And the youth group and leaders, who know far more about technology and virtual connection than people who are my age, played games and chatted Sunday afternoon. In the days ahead, we're going to take a lot of pages out of their book. Let me talk about some of the ways that we plan to stay connected and strengthen the All Saints community and also serve others. Your wardens and vestry will meet tonight via Google Hangout. We have a full agenda with many of the usual matters to discuss, matters like finances and building and grounds and various reports. But our primary focus will be how All Saints is going to stay connected. We've received dozens of ideas from many of you. Some of the ideas we can implement right away. Others may take longer to put in place. But please know in the meantime how grateful we are to you for reaching out and caring so much. One of the most important connections that we have as Christians is through our common prayer. In last week's Dear Friends letter, we sent along links to some resources that you can use online. At tomorrow's staff meeting, we'll continue our conversations about how to add to those resources. When I prayed morning prayer this morning, the psalm appointed for the day were verses from Psalm 78. The psalmist talks about the time that God's people were in the midst of their wilderness wanderings, wondering where God was and what God was doing. The people who were hungry asked poignant questions. They said, "Can God set a table in the wilderness? True, he struck a rock, the water gushed out and the gullies overflowed, but is God able to provide bread or meat for his people?" The answer to this question is a resounding yes. but God's provision of bread for people will involve every single one of us in the days and weeks ahead. Ravenswood Community Services, our sibling organization, is still feeding hungry people today. Like other organizations, they're having to change the way they do business to minimize the spread of the coronavirus among our neighbors. RCS, along with other food pantries and feeding organizations, anticipate that the need for food will grow tremendously in the coming days and even weeks as people are laid off and not able to get food on their own. Last year, the Federal Reserve pointed out that a very large number of people have less than $400 put away to handle an emergency if it comes up. Needless to say, $400 doesn't last very long, and many people have far less than that. So here are some things that we can all do. RCS needs paper grocery bags since they will be handing out bags of food rather than having our neighbors gather in our sanctuary or stand in line. And like many restaurants, our weekly meal served to our neighbors won't be a sit-down dinner. We'll be offering takeout instead. You can drop paper bags off at All Saints anytime. The best place to leave them is under cover in the courtyard entry to our education wing, or you can just ring our doorbell on the Wilson Street entrance during normal business hours and we'll take the bags from you. The second thing RCS needs is your financial support. If you go to their website, you can just click on a button that says Donate Now. All Saints also has a Give button on our website, but that's another conversation for another time. Whatever you do, please do something to help those who will be profoundly affected by the economic dislocation that's part of this worldwide pandemic. And if you're one of the people who needs help, RCS and All Saints is here for you too. Andrew Rutledge and I are available by phone or email if you want to pray or break up the isolation or share a joke or a funny story. Yes, we're thirsty for laughter too, as Andrew pointed out in his sermon. Know that God loves you, and here at All Saints, we love you too. Here's an old Irish blessing for this St. Patrick's Day. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun warm upon your face and rains fall soft on your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold all of us in the palm of God's hands. Stay well and keep in touch.